So as I'm completing the fill-up of my 2018 Toyota Tundra, I want to talk to you about what I think is one of the biggest problems with modern half-tons today, which is the lack of fuel tank capacity and the lack of range. Because half-ton trucks are included in the corporate average fuel economy calculations along with regular passenger cars, it's forced manufacturers, as truck market has become a bigger part of the market, to come up with ways to improve their MPGs. When the government interferes like this, there's only so many changes that the manufacturers can make on a short term to increase the fuel efficiencies of their powertrains. Therefore, they've got to look for other routes. So that's where you end up with things like an air dam instead of some damn tow hooks. That's where you end up with things like a 26-gallon fuel tank instead of a 38-gallon. So as we're driving down the road here, what I'm going to tell you is that I believe Ram still offers a 32-gallon fuel tank that's optional, but they come with a 26. The GMC comes with a 24-gallon fuel tank. I think the standard Ford is a 25, and the Titan comes with a 26. Toyota, even with their V6, is still leading the way with a 34-gallon tank, but of course they've dropped to a standard tank size of 22 through the SR5 trim, unless you option for a larger tank. Ford's vehicle builder for 2022 is up, and it shows a 30.6 gallon tank for Powerboost only engines. At this time, we don't know if that's correct or if those numbers got transposed, because in 2021 it was 36.0. When it comes to the GMC 1500 series, I think that the AT4X and the Denali Ultimate are the two best looking half-ton trucks on the market currently. The refreshes look fantastic. I also think the new interiors look incredible. The problem I have with it is the 24-gallon lasting class fuel tank. I love the powertrains in the GMC. The 6.2 liter is a great engine. Unfortunately, it requires premium fuel and isn't going to do any better than my Tundra does when it comes to towing. I also love the Baby Duramax engine. Again, it's going to be a much higher cost of fuel for the diesel, and when you throw in the additional maintenance, and the best I've seen is about 13 miles per gallon when towing a large 7,500-ish pound travel trailer, I don't think that that's enough to make that leap either. In 2021, Ford's largest fuel tank offered was 36 gallons. That's significant. However, what's also significant is that you couldn't get it with the 5.0 liter V8. And when you're towing long distance across the country, you really don't want a V6 engine doing that, especially not one with turbos. They're just simply not going to last under that kind of stress. When you're towing 7,000 pounds for several hundred miles, several hours a day, several days in a row, that's not something I would put that engine through. Now this is where it gets a little interesting for me. The Ram EcoDiesel that was redone in 2020 is getting about 480 pound-feet of torque with about 260 horsepower. That truck is getting about 12 miles per gallon when averaging between 70 and 75 miles per hour, towing travel trailers between 7 and 8,000 pounds from the research I've done. It's getting closer to between 13 and 14 miles per gallon when it's towing those same weighted trailers between 60 and 65. That's a pretty good return, and with the fact that you can get this truck with the optional 33-gallon gas tank and build it out with a 3.92 rear axle, as well as the EcoDiesel engine, which I was able to do at the Ram website, makes it attractive for range. However, it also has some drawbacks. You still have the increased cost of the diesel emission fluid, you still have the increased cost of diesel itself, and you have an increased price tag. It's about $3,500 more than the Hemi engine is to get the EcoDiesel engine in the Ram. So I know there will be a lot of clowns without evidence saying you shouldn't be towing a travel trailer that size, that far, that long without an HD truck that's set up for it. Well, the truth of the matter is a lot more people tow with half tons than tow with HDs. And I'm not talking about the ridiculous SAE J2807 numbers of 11,000 to 13,000 pounds that all these seem to get. I'm talking about something in the maybe 6,000 to 8,000 pound range, which is perfectly manageable for most all half tons on the road today. September 25th, 2020, the president of Navajo Nation announced that Navajo Nation would be shutting down beginning 8 p.m. Friday night and not reopen until 5 a.m. Monday morning. I was on my way to Monument Valley with my wife. We were taking a tour through Shiprock. We were driving across Navajo Nation. When we got off the interstate in Gallup, New Mexico, we fueled up, made our way towards Shiprock. We didn't pass an open gas station, an open McDonald's, an open anything until we got to Kayenta, Arizona. That's approximately 200 miles of nothingness and over 3 hours of driving time. Now, I don't think you can truly say you've seen the southwestern United States until you've traveled across Navajo Nation, and my wife and I were set to do that. On our way to Shiprock, and then from Shiprock to Kayenta, we passed a small handful of gas stations. Every one of them was full with vehicles at the pumps. However, the pumps weren't open, the gas stations weren't open, but Class A's, tow vehicles with their trailers in tow, were sitting at these pumps waiting for them to open at 5 a.m. Monday morning, and we passed them on approximately noon on Sunday. Now, I do travel with 2 spare 5-gallon gas cans, one for my truck, one for my generator, but you don't generally want to break into these things if you don't have to, and certainly not on the side of the road. And I understand how people could have missed this, as the closing of Navajo Nation wasn't exactly national news. In February of 2021, my wife and I were making our way across the state of Texas from east to west. As we traveled from Del Rio toward Big Bend National Park, we got stuck in a whiteout blizzard. We stopped in Marathon, but between Del Rio and Marathon, there were no open stations because of the blizzard. And between Marathon and Alpine and down to Big Bend National Park, there were no open stations. This was a trip of over 282 miles. Again, I made it on a single tank of fuel in my Tundra with plenty to spare, and I had 2 5-gallon gas tanks with me, but otherwise this could have been a treacherous trip, and this is definitely a safety issue, as temperatures got down to 6 degrees and 8 degrees in consecutive nights on February 14th and February 15th. Other times it's just more convenient to have the larger tank when you're traveling with a travel trailer, so you have to make less stops. On our way to Jackson Hole from Devil's Tower, we had to stop only once for fuel. I guess that's not exactly true, because what I did was fill up in Gillette outside of Devil's Tower and then drove all the way to Du Bois before I filled up again. That was quite a long drive at about 315 miles, as you can see here, but I was confident with the fuel economy that I was getting that I was going to make it. I was averaging close to 10 miles per gallon. What you see here is the actual fill up in Du Bois, and I had gone approximately 315 miles. When we got to that destination, we filled up with fuel. It cut us off at 125. I started to fill again and only took another tenth of a tank. With those smaller fuel tanks, or with the V6 turbos that are going to go through a lot of fuel quickly when towing heavy, I would not have been comfortable doing this. I would have probably stopped in Casper at 130 miles, another 100 miles in Shoshone, and another 100 miles in Du Bois. Based on the busyness at those pumps when we passed them, this probably saved me at least 45 minutes on my trip. It takes a while to shift in manufacturing, and I think the pandemic may have caught manufacturers off guard. RVing has become a big thing across the nation, and it always seems to be increasing, but with the pandemic, it's increased ever more. And while traditionally RVers would travel about 2 hours to 4 hours away from home for a destination, more and more people are now traveling across country and towing long distances. I think that half-ton manufacturers have miscalculated with the current models they have relative to our current needs in America.